I love humans. Like, I'm very much so a people person, but I love most of all seeing what motivates people and what really like gets them, you know, or what really has impacted them and why they're doing what they're doing.
Welcome to another episode of The Passion Project. I'm your host, Hallee Smith, visual storyteller and creator on TikTok and YouTube. I hope that this podcast can inspire you to get out of your comfort zone and into your passions so that you can live a truly fulfilling life. And the best part about it is that we're on this journey together. So let's go. Hello, my podcast beans. I'm so excited to be talking to you again and to be bringing you another incredible guest. It is my friend Sam Shepard, also known as the Tampa Bae Explorer, because she is also a content creator on social media. And now Tampa Bae is spelled B-A-E. So like, you're my bae, Tampa Bae. So it's a little play on words, which is kind of fun. And it's her social media handle across her platforms, which she has over 130,000 followers across TikTok and Instagram. And on top of that, she has over 15 million views on TikTok. She has some great work. And amongst other things, as you will find, she's also an entrepreneur and the owner of the digital marketing agency, The Sam Shepard. So she is a true multi-passionate queen. And some of her passions include content creation, as you might have assumed, a work-life balance, mental health, creativity, and the Tampa Bae community. So you are not going to want to miss this one. There's one more surprise coming, but you will find out soon. Let's jump right into the interview. So Sam, welcome to the Passion Project. And the surprise I told you guys about in the intro is that Sam is our very first in-person guest.
Woo!
She's on the orange throne chair that I used to sit in, but then I had to rearrange my apartment.
I love it. I love it. It's very comfy.
So I gave you a little bit of an intro before we jumped into the interview, but let's just start by talking about what got you started. Like, where did your story begin?
So I guess it began during COVID. So during COVID, everybody was kind of cooped up for so long. And then once our mandatory portion where we had to stay inside ended, I was like, okay, I need to like get out and about. It was like so much pent up energy of like, oh my God, I need to experience everything right now. And so my friends and they're kind of, I have a lot of friends that are kind of more or less my yes men. So like whenever I get like a harebrained idea and I'm like, hey guys, want to drive to Sarasota for this restaurant that may or may not be good and it's a far drive, but like it might be awesome. They're really awesome about being like, oh yeah, let's go, you know? So I started doing that every Friday during 2020 after the lockdown had kind of ended.
Like after once you were free,
yes,
you're
once
like,
we
let's
were free.
live life to the fullest.
Absolutely. I was like, I need all the different kinds of food, all the experiences. So we started going somewhere once a week and just somewhere new that we hadn't been. And then I'm a little bit of a talker.
Perfect. That's perfect for a podcast.
There we go. But I would always somehow end up talking to the restaurant owners or the owners of wherever we were going, and I would somehow always find out little background info. Like, oh, hey, not only are we this like awesome Indian food restaurant, but we also have this secret trap door in the back because the building's really historical. So I started like videoing all of this. I'm like, guys, like not only do they have really good food, but check out the trap door. And so I started like filming it all, and I made a TikTok channel. Because that was like right after TikTok had like taken off, because it was like right in the middle or right after COVID. So everybody was like scrolling and like the doom scrolls.
There was nothing else to do.
Right.
And some people were still locked up. Like you said.
100%.
You were in Tampa, right?
Yeah.
So you were free early.
Yes. We were allowed to go outside. A little freer than some other places. So that's kind of how I started going out and about. And I had always been adventurous in terms of like wanting to check out new places around town and that kind of thing. But that's kind of where the videoing started to kick off. And then I just started putting it on social media, TikTok, and then this one place, my first viral video. So this speakeasy in St. Pete opened up.
The Saint, is it that one?
Yes.
The Saint.
It had just opened up, and I guess, I didn't know it, but I guess I was the first Tampa-based page to go in there and make a video on it. I went in there and I was like, this place is awesome. Like, we don't have anything like it. And I was like, oh, the red lights. And I got the whole background story in the video. I got, like, their signature drink, which has, like, a giant bubble they blow, and then the smoke goes everywhere. And the song was, like, it just, like, matched perfectly.
The stars aligned. That's what...
Literally.
I feel like that's
literally.
when I look back on my viral videos, I'm like, the stars really did just align for that.
1,000%.
And at the time, there was strategy that goes into it, but you also look back and
right.
like, how did I pair that so
100%.
perfectly? Like,
yes, you're like, chef's kiss. Like, good job. Pass Sam.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I went there, filmed that one, and then that one took off, and it was great. Like, at first it was great. It was great the whole time, but it ended up getting on because it's sin themed. So the saint is sin themed. It's red lighting inside. It's angels, you know, kind of flipping the bird. So it's like it was very controversial also. And so that video in particular took off with good feedback for a while, and then it ended up somehow getting on Christian TikTok. So it was really interesting. And so all these people were having, it kind of opened up a platform for all these people to have conversations about really deep topics. And so these topics just kept like going and living on in the comment section. I'm like, it was like my nightly, I would go on there and like eat popcorn. I'm like, oh my God, this is so crazy. Like, look at these conversations.
So interesting. So it all started for you with telling stories though.
Yes.
And what were you doing? It was just kind of a side hustle, right? It was
just definitely. It was definitely just for fun.
Yeah. And you went to college for graphic design, right?
I did. I went to Savannah College of Art and Design, and it's out in Georgia, but I majored in graphic design and advertising.
Okay, cool. So creativity has always been big for you. I know you said you're super passionate about creativity. And I think it's so cool that I think most people, when you see their success stories from the outside, it kind of looks like, oh my gosh, they strategically figured this out. But 9 times out of 10, you're just exploring, you're just having fun. Like, that's what I talk about a lot on here, is to just have fun and do what your passion draws you to do. So once you discovered that like telling stories could be a thing, and this went viral in this such a crazy way, what was the moment when you thought, oh my God, maybe I could do this full time?
I think when I realized, oh my God, I can do this full time and I can be very creative with this and it fills my bucket, so to speak, was I think the first message I ever got where I had somebody message me and be like, hey, like, this changed my life. like your videos, because I had this one woman, I think it was my first message I ever got like this. I had one woman message me and she was like, hey, so this might seem really weird and out of nowhere, but I came across your page a couple months ago, and my husband and I live in like North Dakota. It was like some state in the middle of the country where there's just like cornfields, you know? She was like, I came across your page randomly and I started following you, and my husband and I vacation down in Florida all the time. And we've actually had a picture of our house in Florida that we want to move to, or just a dream home on their visualization board. And they're like, we've always dreamt of moving down there and we just never, did it. And it's always been a dream of ours. And we found your page, and through your page, by sending those videos to my husband, we decided to go for it. Like, I have goosebumps right now, but she was like, we decided to do it. We moved down, and I had to tell you, thank you, because this has been the best decision for our marriage, our lives, our personal lives, everything. And we love it. And she's like, so thanks. And I was like, oh my God.
That gave me chills too. Oh
yes.
That's incredible. I think that's one of the most beautiful things about creativity, like combined with content creation, because you're doing something you love. It's almost a translation of energy.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
It's like you're doing what you love and you're indirectly impacting people's entire lives.
Dude, it's nuts.
Just from a video. And you never know, like you're not making the video thinking,
no, yeah. Right.
You know?
There's the real motivation behind me even making these videos is, one, it's a creative outlet for me, which for me personally, like, I need creativity in my life. It's like breathing. Like, I have to have it. It's what fills my bucket at the end of the day. But what motivates me to make these is, one, being creative and being able to do that, exploring new places. But that started to transform once I started getting these stories in from people saying, like, how much, either they enjoyed it or how it helped them, or like how they've just gone out and about more and it's helped their relationships, or just like crazy stories like this. And so now when I get to go to a grand opening or I do whatever event, I've met couples where they've poured their whole life's work into this business, and I get to see them like cry happy tears cutting the grand opening ribbon. And it's moments like that I'm like, okay, like I'm in this for the long haul.
Yeah, it reminds you why you do what you do. Yes. That's awesome. When you go into the places and you want to tell their stories, where do you start? I have a couple questions I usually always ask them. I always ask them how they got started, why they got started. And I guess it always kind of goes back to the basics of, like how, why. Those are always my first two. And then a lot of the times they give you very in-depth answers. And like I went over to Roasted in Temple Terrace, awesome spot. They have incredible Turkish delight. I was talking to the owner and I was like, how did you even start this? Because it's a really impressive place. They import all different kinds of nuts from around the world. They import all sorts of candy from around the world. They offer so many things that are so hard to get or hard to find, and they're delicious. And I was like, how did you get into this? Like, how did you start this? And he told me like his whole life story. He was like, from a little kid, I grew up in the Middle East, and I remember when I was a child having these incredible like happy memories of my mom and I like going down to the store and getting my favorite kind of candy. And then when the war got bad, we had to leave, we're running from place to place to place. So he was like, essentially as refugees, we went from country to country to country. And I was, as a kid, unknowingly, more or less, eating my way through these countries in the Middle East. And I started realizing that each country had a very different taste. They used all these different herbs. And he was like, my dad was a cook. And he lost his job when the war got bad, obviously, and we had to move. And he was like, so once I started getting older, I started keeping in contact with these people, and I guess via Facebook. And so when he moved here, he was like, you know what, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to do this. And he kept in contact with all those people he met, and he has them ship them from overseas, and he runs one of the most successful businesses in that area. You don't realize how much goes into small businesses.
Yes.
Especially, I love supporting small businesses too, because it's just like the passion.
Yes.
The whole reason behind why I do this podcast.
It's the passion.
It's like you see that passion in those stories.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's super cool.
It's those moments that like make me tear up, because like I love humans. Like I'm very much so a people person, but I love most of all seeing what motivates people and what really like gets them, or what really has impacted them and why they're doing what they're doing. And I love seeing people that are just passionate and love what they do, or getting to a place that they've wanted to be for so long. Like I went to the Tea and Spice Exchange in St. Pete at the Sundial.
Wait, I think I went there in North Carolina.
No way!
I'm pretty sure I was like wandering the streets in Greenville.
Okay.
Because I just kind of, when I evacuated, I just made it a road trip, and I just saw this place, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I went in,
that's
awesome. They recommended where I went, because I did a video there.
I met the owners of that particular location whenever I went for the grand opening, and I noticed the wife was like tearing up as they were cutting the ribbons, and I could see on her face just like that feeling of like, oh my God, we finally got here. We finally reached this. And this was shortly after COVID ended, or not, I mean, it's kind of still going on, but like when the what's the word I'm looking for, when the lockdown kind of stopped. So it was like shortly after everything started to get back to normal a little bit. I asked her, I was like, hey, so can I ask you a couple questions? I saw you get emotional back there, and it looked like this was a really happy moment for you, and I wanted to kind of get your perspective on, like how long have you been in this business? What's been going on? And she started crying, and she was like, and they were an elderly couple, and she was like, this is my husband's and I, our second business that we've managed to open, and we never thought we could do it. And we made the leap to do it. We put our whole life savings into these businesses. This one gives me chills too, but she was like, both of them we opened during COVID. And she was like, what I was thinking about out there when I got teary-eyed was that we were able to open not just one, but two businesses during COVID in the city. And the community came forward and supported us enough to where not only did we survive COVID and we still have our storefronts, but we actually thrived. And we just wrote a check today for over $1,000 to support the charity it's the same disease that our son has. Wow. And so we were able to give back to that. And she was like, that moment was me thinking how much we exceeded where I thought we would be. And I was like, that's beautiful.
So you really have a knack for hearing the stories and bringing them out of people and then translating them and using your following to tell them. That's awesome. I think something my dad would always tell me growing up, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. You're clearly multi-passionate. You do a lot of different things.
I do.
And I think that's amazing because I feel like I do the same thing, but I always kind of have this overwhelm of like, oh, shouldn't I be doing one thing? What are your thoughts on that? Like, what goes through your brain daily? Do you just kind of go where you're drawn, or do you try to stay organized in that sense?
So I think it varies per person. For me, I know how my brain works, and my upstairs is not organized. So outwardly, I'm very organized to compensate.
I low-key feel like I'm the same way.
I am a big lister, and for me, it's simple things like just crossing something off of a list that gives me gratification. And knowing that at the beginning of every morning, I do my feel-good tasks. So like in the morning, I'm a creature of habit. So in the morning, I do my ritual, skincare, whatever, coffee, whatever, drink your water. And then after that, each morning I have a journal and I make a list of all the things I want to get done. And if I don't get them done that day, I don't cross them off. And so the next day, before I make my new list, I always go back and try to see what I can get done from the day before. And then if I need to redo the list, I can. I like to jump from project to project. And so for me, I enjoy doing a lot of things. And I guess for me, it's the stuff that fills my bucket that's creative, but a lot of those things are very different. So, sometimes it's video editing, but sometimes it's like doing a cool photo shoot in your apartment. I realized early on, if I stick to one thing for super long, and I do it 24/7, I get really burnt out. And that's what actually happened in college. So I had been painting my entire life. It was like my life's passion. I had been painting from the moment I came out of the womb, pretty much. But I had been painting ever since I could walk. And so I originally went to SCAD, my college, for painting and fine arts, because I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I love. And when I paint, for me, the rest of the world just goes silent. It's like that one space that I can go into a room and paint for 5 hours and I'll think it's 20 minutes. And so I originally wanted to do that with my life. And then I went to school and I started doing that all the time. And I was like, you know what? I'm so young, because when you're in college, you have so much pressure on you to know all the answers, to know exactly where your life's going to go. And now that I'm 28, I'm like, how can we put that much pressure on these kids?
So much. It's actually insane. The more I reflect on it, I'm like, how in the world were we expected to know what we wanted to do and to walk around telling people that this is what I'm going to do with the rest of my life and feel 100% sure about it. I always was baffled by the people that knew.
100%. And I'm like, look at how many times the average person changes course in their life, and that's healthy. That's okay. Follow what makes you happy. And 5 years from now, the same job you have right now might not be making you happy. You might want to switch into something else, and that's natural. That's okay. But so in college, I left painting and took an intro to design class, and I was like, oh, I like this. And because in design, you can switch from thing to thing to thing. So as a graphic designer, you're never just working on billboards. You work on marketing campaigns, logos.
I don't know if I said this on here, but my minor was graphic design. So
nice.
That's so true.
That's awesome.
You can switch mediums, and it's not as big of a jolt.
Like with painting, you kind of just have to, that's all you have to do. And that's such a saturated field already that once you get out of college, you have to be producing nonstop. And I was like, this is something I love so much that if I do this nonstop and I'm doing it for the sole purpose of I have to make money, I'm not going to enjoy it anymore.
Exactly. I think about that a lot. And I actually did an episode one time about the difference between things that are your hobby versus your job versus your side hustle.
Yes.
And that's really smart that you could identify that you didn't want that to become, something that you resented.
Right.
So are you still able to paint now and it's your escape?
Definitely. I still paint, especially because for me, painting is kind of like my therapy. Like if anything big in my life happens, I put on my earphones or my headphones and I just like go and I paint. And that like helps me like express and just get everything out. Whereas some people do that through working out a lot, or, you know, there's other methods, but for me, that's my primary, like how I just kind of zen.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that's almost, would you say that is your escape from content creation, your creative escape, or do they tie in at all?
I feel like they kind of tie in because for me, like even just editing pictures is fun for me. You know, because I can sit there in bed and be like, I can be like, oh, let me take this picture, which is like average, you know, and then I can edit it, put in a background and like adjust the lighting. And then I'm like, all of a sudden, this is really cool now.
Now it's a piece of art.
It is a piece of art. What's that TikTok audio? This is a work of art. This is a work of art.
Yes. When you said that, the first thing my mind jumped to was, I like it, Picasso. So you do a lot of creative stuff. What would you say? This might be a hard one because I don't even know if I could answer this question.
Ooh, I'm excited. Hit me.
But what would you say is your favorite piece of art, whether it's content, painting, that you've ever created?
I think my favorite ones that I've created were probably my paintings because like I said, that's more, I love content creation and I love the fact that I can help people and kind of help smaller businesses reach a bigger audience and have that in turn bring in more traffic and help them out with their businesses. But I think on a personal level, I have two paintings that were my favorite because like I said, it's very therapeutic for me. And so I have two. One was when my dad passed. I actually sat there with a canvas and so I finger paint a lot actually.
Really?
I'll have to send you pictures, but I do the backgrounds and then I take a lot of, so I had my eyes checked in college and because my intro to painting teacher, she was like, I think you see a wider variety of colors because she was my color theory teacher. Or no, she was color theory. That's what it was.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. And she was like, I think you see a wider variety of colors than the average person just based off of the way you paint. Because she's like, you can look at an object and see the light and the shadows in it, but you paint it in a way where I think your brain sees a bigger variety. So I had my eyes checked and turns out I can see about 30% more colors than normal people, which is kind of wild.
I did not know that was a thing. You guys, we need to invent Sam goggles so that we can see like she sees.
That's why I love museums. I'm like,
that is so cool. I didn't even know that was possible.
Apparently, I was like, oh, okay. And because we would have like tests in school where it would be like, oh, like which one is it the same color or is it different? And I'm like, no, it's different. It's very obviously different. She's like, how do you know that? Like, and I'm like, I don't know. And so we got it checked, and it turns out, but. So the way I paint, I finger paint a lot and I can like kind of look at something and I keep that image in my mind and it just stays there and I remember where the light and the shadows are. And so I paint it with different colors. So a lot of my paintings have like rainbow colors, but it's still very obvious where like the light is. It's kind of, I'll have to send you a picture. But
yeah, I'm excited to see them.
Yes. And so when my dad passed, like I said, it's kind of therapeutic. So I would sit there every day and just put in headphones and I would just like let everything out on the canvas. And so at the end, I ended up with this painting of this like hand kind of reaching and goosies. The symbolism behind that, I guess, for me was kind of like that moment I had in my head of somebody passing into the other side, of like reaching out to like break that veil. So I had a picture of a hand reaching and it's all painted in rainbow colors and the background is stark black, as if you are like this beautiful rainbow soul moving through this like dark space, like reaching for something more. And so when I finished it, I hung it on my wall and I just sat there and I was like, it's like an homage to my dad. So now it like sits in my kitchen and every time I look at it, I smile.
I love that. That is amazing. I'm gonna tear up. I love that.
And he also loved my paintings a lot. And he was a big encourager of, you know, when I was younger, he was like, you know what? I don't care how much money you make. I don't care if you're a janitor, as long as you love it and you're passionate about it. And actually, a lot of what I do today in terms of, you know, the social media stuff and blogging, a lot of that is because of him. because growing up, he would always ask me, like, ever since I was 5, he was like, okay, Sam, what's the number one rule? And I'm like, have fun. But he would, like, always make me tell that back to him. And he was like, the number one rule is you always have to have fun. Like, do not ever get into a job that you hate, because at the end of your life, you're going to look back at this and be like, I never felt full. You know, like, my soul never felt full. And he's like, whatever fills your soul, just do it. So, yeah.
Because why not?
Exactly.
What other reason is there? Money obviously is essential. And I think that you are great at having that balance. But at the end of the day, what are you feeling inside when you're doing things?
Right. And it's like, you have to be passionate about what you're doing on a regular basis, because, like, at the end of the day, it's like, we can speculate what comes after, and I'm very spiritual, but at the end of the day, it's like, nothing is guaranteed. Like, we don't know anything for certain. So I want to make this life as great as I can while I'm here. And I think the point of life is to grow and to keep growing and to better yourself and to have a healthy relationship with other people, but also yourself. And part of that means staying healthy, but also filling your bucket and knowing what fills your bucket. And I think that's very important.
I'm curious, with your dad passing, where does that tie into your story? Did that help you find your passion, or maybe where you wanted to go in college?
It definitely did. But no, he was always a very big motivator, and we didn't always see eye to eye, because my dad grew up very Southern Baptist, grew up on a farm with like 10 other siblings, like a billion other siblings. And I grew up primarily with my mom, who was much more liberal, lived in a city, that kind of life. So there were times where we butted heads a lot, but one thing he was always consistent on was personal growth, personal happiness, and being good and kind to others. And that was kind of the 3 things that he always like drilled into me. He was like, have fun with what you do, be fair to people, be kind to people. And he was like, if you love what you do and you keep doing it, money will come later. He's like, if you have a good attitude, that is like the key to success. I believe in visualization so much. But like, I have a fat visualization board up against my wall that faces my bed, and I see it every single morning before I go to bed and after I wake up. And I look at it, and it's all the things I want to accomplish in life pinned right up there in front of my face so I can see it. And he kind of came into all of my content work. One, because he always was repeatedly telling me, like a broken record, like, have fun with what you do, find your passion. And then this kind of became my passion slowly but surely, because I started making these connections with people and realizing, like, as a content creator, this started as just a fun hobby, and now it's transformed into a way for me to potentially really increase traffic for small businesses that, after COVID, a lot of people were struggling to get people in the door because it was, everybody was on lockdown. It was chaos. It was so gratifying for me to be able to make a video, show how cool the inside of this place is, share somebody's story, and be like, these are incredible people. Like, this place should be more so on everybody's radar. It's amazing. And then that video would blow up, and I would have them message me and be like, oh my God, like, my wife and I are sitting here like borderline in tears because we're looking at the sales. And it's like, it's an increase, like, it's a solid increase. And then we saw that your video got to like this amount of views. There's nothing more gratifying than that for me. Like, being able to help people in that way and still be creative and fill a passion within myself for creativity and also be able to help people is like,
it's like the best of both worlds. You're getting like all the pieces perfectly together.
Yes, 100%. And so my dad kind of always told me, he was like, always have fun. So it started as like, originally I was like, oh, always have fun. This is kind of like an homage to my dad in a way, because like every week we go out and try something new. I was like, he would love this. And then even after he passed, I've gotten to do so many cool things that I'm so grateful for the opportunity to even be able to do at this point. Each really cool trip or collab that I do or adventure that I go on, he was always very adventurous, but obviously when he got sick, he couldn't really explore or do that kind of thing. But he would always tell me, like, I'm living vicariously through you. Like, even when I'm not here, I always will be. And so now when I go on, you know, if I collaborated with this jet ski company and got to like rip it around, and I like looked up and saw this silver lining and got like teary-eyed because I actually like wear his ring.
Oh, that's so cool. I was thinking that was such a pretty necklace.
Thanks. But yeah, this is actually his ring. And so I just like looked up at the silver lining. I was like, he would be so happy if he could be here right now. And I was just like, oh. So I do feel like
you're definitely living up to it. And I was looking through your social media before this, and I was like, man, Sam is just so good at, you just post what you love and where your heart takes you, and it shows. And one thing I know I struggle with, and I'm sure you've struggled with, and I'm sure anyone who is a content creator or aspiring content creator struggles with, is views.
Yes.
Because you have to get them
to
be a creator.
Correct.
But how do you balance, you know, getting stressed over views with following your passion and making a video that, you know, maybe you're switching it up and you don't know if it's going to perform as well, but it's something that you really want to do. How do you balance that?
So there's definitely been shifts in my content creator history. So I originally started as more of like a food blog, like a food and drink blog. And then at some point, I kind of came to a crossroads like that where I was like, I want this to be more inclusive of like other adventures or like lifestyle. Like sometimes I wanted to, like back then I wasn't making like any trend videos or like anything I thought was like funny. It wasn't like, I was just strictly food and
serious.
Drink. Yes. And at some point, because I kept toying with the idea, and then I was like, you know, like what if people don't like it? What if it doesn't get as many views? But then I was just like, Sam, like your key thing for everything that you do is being authentic. And if you want to make a trend video that is just goofy and funny, if it doesn't get that many views, that's okay. But like, I think at the end of the day for me, it was always like, will this align with your goal of being authentic and your goal of, even if it's just making somebody laugh, like that is worth it to me. So it's like, views definitely matter for sure, but at the end of the day, I feel like if I stay on track with being authentic and providing value to the community and to my audience, I think those two things alone will keep you on a steady track of having your audience, maintaining your audience, and keeping your views at a solid point.
You just said exactly kind of the way I think of it is, there's the views videos, like the viral content,
and you know when it's coming too. Like
and then there's the community content, the community building, which honestly I think they're equally as important. But it is hard, for myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people, to shift that focus into, is this something that I truly want to be doing? Is this going to serve my long-term mission? And is it maybe gonna just build community instead of try to make me go viral? Right.
Like every 6 months or so, I will reevaluate my posting schedule. Because at one point, I think I started moving away from food and like beverage places so much that I wasn't getting as, like my TikTok was just stagnant for a long time.
TikTok hates change.
It hates change. Oh, it hates it.
It hates it.
It doesn't like it.
You don't want it. It doesn't want you to switch it up. It doesn't want you to dabble.
It says no, 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 no. I was like panicking. I was like, what am I going to do?
I've totally felt that panic.
Yes, and it happens. And so I kind of sat down, I reevaluated like what, and I asked people, I was like, what, because I would have people that would like talk to my boyfriend and be like, oh, I like Sam's page. And I'd be like, what do you like about it? Like what specifically are your favorite like videos or parts or things that I talk about? And it kind of just took like a little like friend survey, you know? And it was, everybody was saying the same thing. They're like, we love your local Tampa Bay stuff. You know, that was always kind of like the top. And so I sat down, I reevaluated, and I redid my weekly posting schedule. And I still do the things that I like and I think are fun, but I also balance it. So I think the key is balance. And so for my weekly posting schedule, and by no means do I post a video every single day. That I don't take that seriously. I have it scheduled for every single day, just if I want to, or if I'm very ambitious that week.
It's that organized chaos again.
Yes, we love organized chaos. That's the epitome of me.
Absolutely.
But so like one day I'll have a trend video, and then, which that kind of helps me just feel free and express myself, or like feel like I'm like, I can be funny.
I'm cool on the trends.
I'm cool on the trends, guys. I'm fire. So one day I'll do a trend video, one day I'll do a new business opening up around town, and then one day I'll do, a top pick video, which I do a lot, which is like my top picks around town in a certain category. And so I kind of have a different day for a different video. So that way it's kind of balanced out. Because like you don't think about it. And then sometimes in hindsight, I'll be like, oh my God, my ADD brain just literally did 10 top pick videos in a row, So it's good to have like a schedule to help like keep you on track.
Having the balance of, I like to think of it in like masculine and feminine energy, where the planning is the masculine energy and then the free flow is the feminine energy. So you just gotta find those of you listening, you just gotta find your right balance of the two.
Absolutely.
So the last thing I want to ask you about before we wrap up here, I know you started the Social Shepard recently, which is a digital marketing agency, right? How is that going? What made you want to start it? And like, how does it tie into your content?
So I started the Social Shepard recently because I feel like I was getting so many brand deals and brand collaborations just flooding my inbox that it was kind of to the point where from a business perspective, I started thinking about it and I was like, I would really like just a professional face that I could be able to work with to kind of take these just to showcase, I guess, kind of like a portfolio. So like when you're a creative, you have a portfolio where you can like walk into an interview and be like, hey, this is what I've created in the past. This is what I can offer you. These are also my services. And I feel like with the Tampa Bae Explorer social media pages, that wasn't really emphasized anywhere. Like there wasn't a particular space where that could live on its own. And so that's part of the reason I started the Social Shepard, just to be able to show partners like, hey, this is what I've done in the past for this client, and this is what we could do for you, and to show package options, but also to kind of be a safe space for other creators and be like, hey, here's some really good tips that I've come to terms with recently or that I've discovered recently that could help you too. Or here's like a breakthrough in terms of like creation or dealing with certain things that a lot of us have to deal with in terms of being an influencer or like certain stigmas even, and how to kind of go about that or word that even.
I think the way you have it set up is really, I see it almost as the future for content creators.
Yes.
Because influencers, content creators, they are businesses.
Yes.
And a lot of times people don't see them that way.
Facts.
And I think there's slowly being this shift, but having that, you show really good inspiration. So if anyone listening is an aspiring content creator, check out the Social Shepard, because you have that set up really well, like really organized chaos.
Yes.
Yeah, I really just see that as the future of content creators, and just like an option for monetization.
Yes.
To be an extension of your brand.
Definitely.
Your personal brand.
And it's also good from a legal standpoint to do too as a content creator, because with the Social Shepard, it's weird being an influencer or content creator because you can't necessarily, I guess you could, but you can't necessarily like put an LLC for your own name, or like
right. Unless I don't know, can you?
I'm sure Mariah Carey has
not...
legal. We're not lawyers, guys. But for me, it just didn't feel right to do that. Like it didn't feel like a good fit. So I feel like having the Social Shepard as kind of its own thing was kind of a good not backup plan, but a good way to officially make a business, legal, and put like an LLC to it and kind of cross my T's and dot my I's and be like, okay, here's my platform for marketing. Here's my platform to showcase all the things I do with marketing, but I also still have a separate channel for content creation. So it was nice to be able to like solidly create like a different set of branding that's still tied to me, make it an LLC, have something there that like nobody can take away. If somebody shuts down your account, what are you going to do?
Exactly. You have to have your own, something you own. And so you have your website, you have your business. I kind of actually did it the opposite way of you.
Yeah.
I started Hallee Media and Design LLC during quarantine, and then I took off.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was like backwards.
That's awesome though.
Yeah, I was just doing the freelancing, but yeah, if anyone listening, if you are an aspiring creator, or even if you just want to start your own business, content is huge right now. Everybody needs content, as you know.
Oh, yes.
What would you say somebody listening should do to follow their passion project, tap into their creativity, and kind of express their story?
I would say if you don't really know what that is yet, or if you're not 100% sure, I would say give yourself, because the world puts so much stress on you, right? Like your job will put stress on you, your relationships will put stress on you. And so I would say at the end of the day, and do this every day, why not? Find time in your schedule to do this every day just for 20 minutes. Just go to a space, whether it's your desk, whether it's just a room you just feel relaxed in. Go to a space, sit there. If, like, maybe have a glass of wine, that's just me. But, like, just find a way to just try and relax and open a journal or open a sketchbook and just start writing ideas down. And just have 20 minutes a day. You can play your favorite music, but you need to take 20 minutes to unwind. And that's why a lot of people, I think, have their best thoughts in the shower, because that's when you're relaxed. And so for me, it's always when I'm relaxed and I let my mind wander that I get the best ideas, and I can feel myself, or like my inner self or whatever, getting inspired and being like, hey, maybe you should do this, or hey, maybe we should do this. And those are the ideas that always end up working the best. So I would say 20 minutes at the end of every day. Relax, open up a sketchbook or a notebook, put on your favorite music, have a glass of wine or tea, whatever you want to do, and just make your mind relax so that those thoughts can have a space to enter. Because I don't think we do that enough. And especially with society nowadays, there's so much of this mindset of, you know, grind, work till you die, work till you sleep, sleep's for losers.
Sleep when you're dead.
Yeah. And it's the opposite. Like, not polar opposite. You still need to work. You still need to grind for sure. But I think it's over promoted so much so to the point where people don't leave any space anymore for their own mental health. And your passion isn't going to be able to manifest until you start giving your own mind space to let those thoughts come through. Think of it as like, when you're a creative, think of it as like being like something channeling through you, because I feel like to an extent, most creativity, we don't know where it comes from. So you're channeling this energy, and your body and your mind and your hands and like whatever you're creating, you're a vessel for this creativity to come through. And when you're so stressed out and you're so worried about making money and you're so worried about doing XYZ, having the perfect relationship, you aren't in a mindset where you're allowing those thoughts to come through. So that's why I say at the end of the day, just let that all go, and just 20 minutes. It's not forever. Just try for 20 minutes. And that's when you're going to get the best ideas.
So take some time in your day, block off your schedule, 20 minutes a day. Let yourself get into a flow state.
Yep. And just write down whatever comes to mind. Journal, sketch, whatever it is, just let it out.
Figure out, just let it come to you. Exactly. That's great advice to you guys. Listen to that, take that, and I think that that'll definitely help you follow your passion project. Or if you don't know what it is, like you said, figure out what that is. So Sam, how are people going to find you?
So you can find me on TikTok and Instagram at Tampa Bae, is BAE. The Y was taken.
That's why you did that? Oh my God, I should have asked that in the beginning.
I'm on TikTok and Instagram, Tampa Bae _Explorer, and the Social Shepard.
Awesome. So definitely go check out Sam's pages. If you don't know who she is or you haven't seen her content, it's incredible. Go check it out. Everything is linked in the show notes. Thank you, Sam, for coming on. This was awesome. I think everybody's going to enjoy this episode. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out, pals.
Woo!